that brings that threat for heavy rain and gusty winds that could even reach 70 miles per hour in some spots.
You know that's going to cause at least travel problems, but much more too. More than 12 million people under a coastal flood watch this morning. That's anything from high surf to rip currents. We could see it all as this system eventually whips up waves, Kelly, potentially up to 12 feet.
Yes, and all this active weather comes with millions hitting the roads and the skies for the long holiday weekend. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into America's weekend headquarters. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass.
And I'm meteorologist Molly McCollum. Coming up, we've got the latest on this storm with live looks at the action from senior national correspondent Justin Michaels, who is in Virginia this morning.
Plus, we've got downpours
for the game, but also some travel issues too. Let's talk about the Northeast and some of those coastal impacts, because of course that's where we're going to be feeling some of the biggest impacts is right along the coast. As always with a nor'easter, we're going to see a pretty sharp gradient and a pretty sharp cutoff when it comes to some of the inland winds as well as the rainfall that we're going to see. Let's start with the winds, because the strong northeasterly winds are only going to start to get stronger as this low pressure deepens as it moves up really the entire eastern seaboard. So we've got coastal flood watches, coastal flood advisories, even some coastal flood warnings. You can see them there for parts of New Jersey and Long Island, where we could see all of that coastal flooding. So we've got seawater, salt water that's above normally dry ground, maybe even on some of those roadways, depending on how low-lying they are and how close to the coast. Now, some of the coastal gauges, this is a forecast, by the way. We're already starting to see some impacts in parts of the mid-Atlantic and the southeast, but we will start to see more impacts from Virginia all the way up through the mid-Atlantic and the northeast as the days go on. So Sunday into Monday are going to be the two biggest days for this region, where a lot of these coastal gauges, the moderate, that's what you're seeing in red, is bad enough. But look how many of those purple triangles, that's major flood stage. And that's going to mean major problems, major temporary problems, but still major problems for your weekend. Also wind advisories, high wind watches. You see the strongest wind right along the coastline there from Ocean City up through Atlantic City and even Long Island up through parts of the Cape. But look at the wind increase. Today, we do just fine. We stay mostly in check, likely by later this evening. So after the sun has gone down, you're going to start to feel some of those stronger winds if you're out later in the evening. But look what happens tomorrow. We really start to feel the impacts. Ocean City, we'll stop it right there. This is 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. You could be feeling those gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. Kelly, we know that's going to cause problems.
If I had a ticket for a flight, I might want to change it, especially tomorrow or Monday. It is going to be really tough getting around the 5 boroughs of New York City, out towards Suffolk County too, around Montauk. Those winds are howling, along with that 2 to 3 inches of rain that we are expecting to come down across the tri-state area. Let's start it off as we go through our Saturday. Not much going on if you're heading out to a farmer's market. You've got anything going on outside. We're looking good for the most part. It's really going to be Sunday into Monday when we expect the worst of the weather. You can see some of the heavier rain starting to show up in Monday morning's commute. Not looking too pretty coming in on the southern state, crossing over the Throgs Neck Bridge or the Whitestone Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah, you name your bridge, you got the wet weather all coming through as we head into Monday as well. So this is going to be an extended event. That low pressure kind of slows down a little bit along the mid-Atlantic coastline, and that means we have a persistent wind coming ashore as well. So there will be a few high tide cycles to get through while this wind is interacting with the water. So coastal flooding along with that heavy rain that's coming down at the same time. You've got Mineola, Islip, gusting 30, 35 miles an hour down to Long Branch, New Jersey. It is going to be up to 50 miles an hour. Those winds could be even stronger for a place like Cape Cod, especially Nantucket here. This is your rainfall, 3 to 5 inches showing up in that yellow. So Boston, for you guys, I would say Sunday night into Monday is when we really start to see the worst of the weather come through. Sunday afternoon, we already have some light rain showers, but it does get a bit heavier as we go through Sunday night. Overnight into Monday morning, notice the pockets of heavier rain around Providence, Rhode Island, and you can see more still to come as we go throughout the day. Monday, Columbus Day. If you're off from work, unfortunately, the weather not taking a break at all. Here's a look at those gusty winds around Cape Cod. You've got Provincetown all the way down to Nantucket, gusting 40, even up to 50 miles an hour. Of course, you don't really have any friction. You're stuck out here in the ocean waters, so you are more likely to experience some of those stronger gusty winds. Atlantic City, Dover, Delaware. Here's your rainfall that adds up along with the seawater at the shoreline. Molly?
Well, in the desert Southwest, we are tracking.
Welcome back to America's Weekend Headquarters. It's an indoor kind of day today here along the Carolina coastline. We've got heavy rain. We've got the gusty winds too. Myrtle Beach actually gusting up to 35 yesterday. Right now you're gusting to 22 miles an hour, and we're seeing some of that heavy rain spreading in or getting very close to the North Carolina coastline, where today, by the way, especially over here in eastern North Carolina, there is a slight tornado risk for today. There's that chance we could see some severe weather. And even outside of that, there will be some very gusty winds. You got the heavy rain moving from south to north, so flash flooding is going to be a possibility. Some of the winds could knock out your power, your Wi-Fi for a while. And yes, some street closures can be anticipated here, especially from the Outer Banks down the coast of South Carolina, Horry County there, Myrtle Beach, looking for 3 to 5 inches of rain. And that heavy rain continues to build northward throughout the day. So there's the flood risk from now through tomorrow morning. Anywhere you see the green on the map, including Virginia Beach and Norfolk, the Northeast. We also get a piece of this system as we go into tomorrow and Monday especially. But even tonight, we start to see that rain filling in from south to north across Virginia and Maryland first, and then eventually moving its way into the rest of the Northeast during the day tomorrow. That rain will be heavy at times. Flash flooding is a possibility. Strong winds, and that wind itself coming in off the water. And that's why we're so concerned about coastal flooding, some of that saltwater inundation, especially at times of high tide. The airport situation not looking so great tomorrow. Make sure you check on your flight, check for cancellations, lengthy delays. Boston, New York airports, all the way down to D.C. It's possible we can blame the weather for these delays. And the turbulence for those flights that are lucky enough to get up in the air, buckle in and stay buckled in. It is going to be a bumpy flight at 30,000 feet, cruising altitude. You can see even some pockets of severe turbulence here and there across the Northeast. So for New York City tomorrow, you may get some cloudy breaks here and there, not much in the way of sunshine, but there will be rain coming through all 5 boroughs. Boston at Logan Airport, we are expecting the rain and the wind to start increasing, especially late in the day tomorrow. And then Monday looks really nasty across New England. In fact, there it is. Monday, more airport delays can be anticipated. Molly? And I know it's a weekend. It's a holiday weekend, too. Think indoor thoughts. I saw today's National Chess Day. Maybe you want to play some chess or checkers.
A puzzle.
Last time you did that, right?
A board game. Dust them off. You make sure all the puzzle pieces are there before you start.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's a good idea, too. Welcome back into America's Weekend Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass.
And I'm meteorologist Molly McCollum. It's not just the southeast and some of those coastal areas. This is going to move all the way up into the northeast, too.
Yeah, I think it gets even worse for the northeast, right?
It does. We're going to see this low pressure deepen
as we go through tonight and tomorrow especially. But the surf is going to be roughed up for quite some time. That has really been the theme of this year's hurricane season. We haven't seen any hurricanes make landfall. We had a tropical storm affecting North Carolina back in July, but we had no hurricane, just making a close pass and causing some rough surf conditions, certainly, and coastal flooding will be a possibility as well. The winds, as we check on some of the buoys out here, I see 31, 43-mile-per-hour winds as well. Onshore, not too bad for the time being, but there will be some of those gustier winds taking shape along the Carolina coast. You can see our low moving up towards the area right around Myrtle Beach in Horry County. By 8 o'clock tonight, you see those winds ramping up to 40 miles an hour, possibly as high as 50 miles an hour in some of these areas in that darker shade of red. Even inland areas like Raleigh and Charlotte, you start to feel some of that wind as well. Coastal flooding is going to be a possibility for the Northeast, New England, especially where you see the darker green. That's where we have coastal flood warnings with 2 to 3 feet of saltwater inundation. Yes, we're going for major flooding at these purple gauges, including perhaps getting close to a record in parts of Delaware. Let's check back in with our senior national correspondent, Justin Michaels, who's in Norfolk, Virginia this morning. Justin, a place where they have flooded before and they will flood again, but you were showing us earlier all the work that's being done in that area to try to keep that water from coming up.
Welcome back into America's Weekend Headquarters. We're closely monitoring travel problems and potential travel problems for parts of the Northeast. Now, this morning, just fine at a lot of our major airports, right? But as the days go on and we see this nor'easter eventually wind its way up the eastern seaboard, it is going to cause problems. And one of those problems could be some turbulence. And that includes not only today, but also tomorrow. We very well could get into a crosswind situation here at LaGuardia, where we've got the stronger winds coming in, where that's really going to start Sunday, especially late Sunday into Sunday night, Monday morning. We're still going to see problems at many of our major airports. So there are some of the impacts for Monday. Think LaGuardia, Newark, JFK, we've even all the way down to Washington, D.C. So that is a lot of major airports. You don't even have to to be traveling to these areas. Maybe your flight is just originating from one of these airports and flying to an area where we have no weather problems at all. You can still see delays. Boston is another spot that we're going to be watching very closely. This is Monday. Wind gusts 35, 40 miles per hour, potentially the rain falling too. Temperatures on the cooler side, so altogether not a comfortable start to your week on Monday. Let's look at the wind forecast for areas the mid-Atlantic all the way up into the Northeast and New England, starting to strengthen and intensify here by the time we get to around Sunday morning. Already seeing 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts in Ocean City, picking up in areas like Atlantic City for the second half of Sunday. Even New York City seeing those wind gusts 35, 40 miles per hour right as you start off your week on Monday. And of course, when you get to areas that are immediately along the coast, like say out towards Long Island or even parts of the Cape where you don't have that friction to slow down some of those wind speeds, Kelly, that's likely where it's going to be the strongest in combination with some coastal flooding.
Yeah, we've got a lot of issues with this storm for sure. And Ocean City, New Jersey is no stranger to monster nor'easters. In fact, infamous storms of the past have reshaped the city and the coastline that draws in tourists every year. Meteorologist Chris Bruin has more.